The year 2014 marked the biggest mystery of aviation history with the disappearance of the Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 on March 8. The flight, which carried 239 people, including 154 Chinese passengers on a trip from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, lost contact shortly after it took off. Despite the unprecedented efforts by Malaysia, China, Australia, the United States and many other countries in search of the aircraft, its whereabouts still remain unknown so far. Another Malaysian Airlines flight, MH17, flying from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur, crashed in eastern Ukraine. The airline, with 283 passengers and 15 crew members on board, was shot down over Ukraine. South Korean ferry Seawol, carrying 476 passengers, capsized off the country's southwestern coast, leaving 295 dead. The poor rescue performance, irregular business operation and negligence of duties exposed by the accident were widely criticized in South Korea. Due to the deadly ferry sinking, South Korean Prime Minister Chung Hong-won resigned. President Park Geun-hye apologized to the nation. The Maritime Police Department was dissolved and the related crew or staff of the sunken ferry and its operator Chong Hai-jin Marine were prosecuted. Year 2014 also marked the emergence of Islamic State militant group as one of the biggest threats to the world community. The group, originally named Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, posed serious regional and global security challenges. The extremist organization captured vast territories in western and northern Iraq and eastern Syria and announced setup of an Islamic State in the areas under their control. The IS persecuted and executed prisoners of war and hostages of many countries and recruited militants. Western countries launched a comprehensive operation to defeat IS. China sentenced to death 3 men convicted of mass stabbings in Kunming train station in southwestern Yunnan province. Over 30 people were killed in the attack in March this year. The 3 men, believed to be from the Uyghur Muslim community, were convicted in September. India witnessed one of the most eventful parliamentary elections, resulting in a historic win for Bharatiya Janata Party. It was for the first time that a party other than the Congress secured absolute majority by its own. BJP's face of the polls, Narendra Modi, is largely credited for the landslide victory. Modi, who rode on the wave of promises of good governance, became the Prime Minister. The Congress saw its worst ever performance. Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf chief Imran Khan launched a nationwide protest against the Nawaz Sharif government. Khan declared a civil disobedience movement against the Sharif regime, alleging corruption in the 2013 elections. For months, Khan led rallies and brought crowds to streets. Pakistan Awami Tehreek leader Tahirul Qadri also joined protests for some time. The countrywide protests brought Pakistan to stand still for a while. Nawaz Sharif's government struggled to deal with protests, with clashes between PMLN and PTI workers. Khan called off the protests in December following the barbaric Peshawar attack on a school. The year witnessed breakdown of peace talks between Israel and Palestine early in the year. The summer of 2014 saw the situation deteriorate further. A constant trickle of rockets fired from Gaza at southern Israel turned into a downpour that made it all the way to Jerusalem, Tel Aviv and even Hebron. In return, Israel launched a military campaign against Hamas in Gaza. The clash, which lasted 50 days, claimed 72 lives in Israel and killed over 2,000 Palestinians. Hong Kong was on a boil this year. The Hong Kong protests began in September 2014 following China's decision to disallow proposed reforms to the Hong Kong electoral system. Pro-democracy activists staged protests for weeks demanding a greater say in the 2017 polls. Though the protests are over now, the political deadlock remains and protest leaders are already mulling additional actions to advance their cause. Though the protests didn't win any concessions, either from Hong Kong or Beijing, many protesters were encouraged simply by the number of people who turned out to show their disapproval. Afghanistan saw the first handover of power between 2 democratically elected presidents. Afghanistan's longtime president Hamid Karzai, who had led the war-torn country in the aftermath of the international military operation that toppled the Taliban, handed over power to Ashraf Ghani. Ghani's crowning as president has been far from smooth. The deal for a unity government was cobbled together only after months of deadlock over a vote in which both Ghani and opponent Abdullah Abdullah claimed victory. The cause of child rights in South Asia was brought to limelight when India's child rights crusader Kailash Satyarthi and Pakistani girl Malala Yousafzai were jointly awarded Nobel Peace Prize for the year 2014. Malala was also a victim of terrorism as Taliban militants had shot her in the head for advocating girl education in Pakistan's restive regions. Satyarthi and Malala called upon the world community to join hands to ensure a safe and secure childhood for the children across the globe. Humanity cried on December 16 when a gruesome attack on a Peshawar school left over 140 dead, including 132 students. The attack highlighted the vulnerability of children to the threats of terrorism. The heavily armed militants stormed an army-run school and fired indiscriminately. Pakistani Taliban took responsibility of the attack, which shook the Pakistani regime. The Nawaz Sharif government came up with new steps to curb terrorism. India's maiden Mars orbiter entered the Martian orbit on September 24 after a 9-month-long odyssey, making India the first country in the world to succeed in such interplanetary mission in the maiden attempt itself. Since then, the spacecraft has been sending data, including pictures of the terrain of the Red Planet, to Indian Space Research Organisation. The mission, which was launched on November 5, 2013 on board ISRO's PSLV C-15 from Sriharikota, completed 100 days around Mars this week.